I'd like to point out something that I hope you have not missed. I'd like to point out the thoroughness and the attention to detail that my colleague has exhibited when he was approaching the kettlebells, when he was parking the kettlebells. It's very common to see in the gym, somebody approaches a weight, kettlebell, barbell, any other weight that was unfortunate to be disrespected. Just come over, grab it, and start doing some stuff. That's nonsense. It's just like shooting. You have to prepare yourself. You have to get yourself in a perfect position. Your breathing has to be right. So Mike has approached the kettlebell correctly, got himself in the right stance, got his breathing right, mentally got himself ready for that. And after that, he parked the bells, and only after he parked the bells, the set was over. Just remember, the set is not over until the bells are there, until the bells are parked on the deck. I'm going to say something else to you as well. When you're performing this type of level of preparation for every rep, and there are very many first reps in your training, it's much harder. Purely in terms of calories even. Soviet scientists did studies with weightlifters, and they compared how energetically demanding were lifts. They were using 80% of their max, and they were doing singles, or they were doing sets of 2, 3, or 4 reps. And they found that the first rep was always 35% more energetically demanding. Getting something started so much harder. It's harder physically, it's harder mentally. It's very tempting to just skip by it, but the more solid first reps you're going to have in your training, the better your training is going to be, the better results you're going to get. John, do you have something else to add to this segment?
I don't really have anything to add, but I would just emphasize the importance of the bracing, which is why we do it so much with the lighter bell, with the single kettlebell version, because now that you're doing a heavier load, it's that much more important, and it's generally the first thing that people forget about when they go through this motion. So just really keep that in mind when you're training this movement.
Ladies and gents, on to the next segment. And the double push press. John, please demonstrate. The technique is exact, identical copy of the single kettlebell push press with a couple subtleties. One subtlety is watch your fingers. Do not let your fingers get caught between the handles. You can do that. Everybody makes that mistake once. Like my father says, you can eat any type of mushrooms at least once. So the same thing, you can catch your fingers between the kettlebell handles when doing double jerks or push presses or cleans once. What else to watch out for? Otherwise, everything is identical. An unrushed descent to the first dip, maintaining the contact, that triangle contact on the first dip, maintaining that contact on the drive. Do not separate this triangle of power from your body. Then you drive, kick the leg. You just kick the legs into the deck, and you pull up your kneecaps on the top, you contract your cheeks on the top, and then you just drive. Then you drive with the arms. Then you can choose to pause briefly, or not so briefly, take a breath, drop them, absorb them. Remember, the dip that you take for absorbing the shock does not have to be of the same depth as the dip that you take for the drive. So optimize whatever feels good, whatever is efficient, and whatever does not necessarily bang you up. A drum roll, ladies and gentlemen, the jerk. Observe. Thank you, Mike. Please park. The jerk. The difference between the jerk and the push press is the jerk allows you to use more weight or do more reps And that comes from that added second dip. So when the weight becomes too heavy, let's say you've done the drive with the legs, and you're pushing with the arm, but that's just not enough, and then you just drop right under it. That's called the second dip, the second dip.
There's an element of coordination in here where you're pushing yourself away from the bell. You're not pressing the bell up because conceivably the load is very heavy. You can't press it, so you're pushing yourself underneath. Obviously, it's very useful in jiu-jitsu or any kind of combat sport where you need to make space. You can't actually push the person away from you. You push yourself away from them, whether it's on the ground or on your feet. So just that, there's a little bit of carryover there between pushing yourself away from the bell underneath and an opponent on the mat.
The simplest, not the easiest, but the simplest way to learn how to do the jerk is simply to get tired in the push press. It's a rare exercise. Most often, when you're trying to learn skills or improve skills, fatigue usually works against you. But there are some skills that stand out that they do become better as a result of fatigue. One example from martial arts is roundhouse kick. If you keep doing roundhouse kicks until you're very, very tired, eventually your hips get loose and your kicks become better. So the same thing that happens with the push press when you're trying to learn the jerk. So you take a moderate-sized kettlebell and you start doing push presses, and then when things are getting really ugly and hard, suddenly you're just gonna figure out how to do the second dip. But let me give you a couple of tips anyway. So first of all, the second dip has to be extremely quick. It's the fastest action in the jerk, the fastest by far. A colleague of ours, Randy Hauer, talked about multiple stages of acceleration in the jerk. There's always something accelerating. So you start out with the first dip, it's fairly slow. The drive, it's faster. And then the second dip, it's extremely fast. Very, very fast. Slow, faster, fast. That's how the sequence of the jerk goes. And then after that, you just reestablish yourself again. Make sure you just own that kettlebell overhead. You pause, take a breath if necessary, and drop it and absorb it just exactly the same way that you did it in the push press. Let's do this one more time. Mike, please. Let's go this way. Thank you, Mike. I'd like to add one more thing. Unlike in the push press, it's totally fine if your heels come off the deck as you're driving, just as you're driving, not as you're dropping, as you're driving. Enjoy the pain. And now the long cycle, or clean and jerk. Observe. Thank you, Mike. Well, you already have all the components. You got the clean down, you got the jerk down. The problem is this, it's not a linear thing, like, oh, clean is hard and jerk is hard, so two of them are twice as hard. No, they're like 4 times as hard. This is the most comprehensive exercise you can find. So if you're looking for one exercise to address your strength and conditioning needs, this would be it. Of course, the doubles are even better, but it takes a long time to develop that shoulder mobility and stability to do doubles. Singles, that's a great start. Work up to a heavy kettlebell in this exercise, and you're going to be very impressed with yourself on the mat, and other people will be more impressed. the people you're rolling with. So what's the difference? Is there any difference particularly between cleans done separately and jerks done separately, or putting them together as one? Not really. It just becomes a very smooth and seamless progression. You clean, you pause, you dip, you drive, you re-clean, and so on and so forth. Thank you, Mike. And ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the pain. The double jerk. John, please demonstrate. Thank you, John. It takes a lot of preparation to get yourself to the level when you have the shoulder mobility and stability to do the double kettlebell jerk. So take your time to get there, but it's really worth it. A number of the high-level BJJ practitioners, black belts in our at Strong First, they swear by the long cycle clean and jerk, and just the jerk itself. It's a very powerful exercise. Just have the patience. You already know how to do that. So the only one possible concern is that you're not quite getting the second dip. As the weights are getting heavier, you just are starting to second guess yourself. So if you are, we have a corrective drill for that. So we're gonna separate the jerk, split it up into the drive by doing just half jerks, and we're gonna add the second dip to it later. So John, please demonstrate half jerks. Thank you, John. Notice that unusually, he performed them nonstop. So this is one of those exercises that's better done at a high tempo. Your body really starts picking it up, starts really feeling what is happening. So pretty much you are dipping like you normally do for the jerk or the push press, and you're driving, but you're completely keeping your arms and shoulders out of it. So you're just pretty much launching the kettlebells just by using your lower body. So keep going in this manner, and then you'll start feeling when the bells are weightless. And when the bells are weightless, that's when you'll be able to shoot yourself under and perform that second dip. John, would you please demonstrate, do several half jerks, and then go straight into the jerk whenever you feel comfortable. Victory. Thank you, John.
Okay, so one of the amazing benefits of the half jerk is it really helps you with your timing. Because we're dipping and we're driving and then we're reabsorbing those kettlebells, it's really gonna teach you about the timing, because if you get that kettlebell up and you dip too quickly, you're gonna actually feel that it's really tough to manage the kettlebells if your timing is off. So it's a great way to not only, again, teach timing, but it's gonna give you some feedback as to when you should be popping up and then when you should be absorbing, because you'll feel it when it's right, but you'll also feel it when your timing is off. So it's a nice way to dial some things in and, again, just improve your overall timing when you're performing the kettlebell jerk.
You'll be hard-pressed to find a single exercise that delivers more for your strength, power, conditioning, and resilience than the double kettlebell clean and jerk, or what Russians call it, the long cycle. Observe. Thank you, John. That's just poetry in motion. Love this exercise. He loves it less, but I love it. It's awesome. So the double clean and jerk, and it's outstanding full body exercise that covers absolutely all the bases: legs, grip, bracing,